I guess the screen is visible.
Yes, sir. Screen is visible, sir.
So for today's topic, research paper writing and publication in Scopus indexed journal. So my priority will be to make all learn about research paper writing, why it is getting rejected, why we face lot many rejections, being reviewer of 2-3 journals, being editor of one. We reject paper on a daily basis. So we'll look after all those things. These are the contents for my presentation. We'll start understanding of what does research means, then general introduction to the topic, structure of the paper. Then we'll go on one after the other. If time permits, I'll show you certain hands-on at how things are getting done easily. So let us first start with the topic. What does actually research means? Some say it is re and search, 2 words, re means again. So search again, but research is something, it starts with understanding the particular problem, what problem we are getting, and then finding an apt solution. Let me first drag this out. So the research involves these 8 steps. The first step is the systematic investigation. Now, in this systematic investigation, we start from a broader area, then we find what is the problem, then we come to the specific question or the specific problem in that particular area, that where we are getting the problem. Then about data collection. Now, once we identified our problem, the next step that we must follow is the data collection. Now, what people mostly do nowadays, they go to Kaggle, K-A-E-G-L-E, there's a website, it gives free data. Okay. So what they do, they go to Kaggle, they download certain data and they start performing experiments on it. So that is not the way. So for data collection, it should be, there should be some evidence or experiments or surveys, observations where you have got those data. Yeah. The next part is hypothesis testing. In my field also, when I propose new control techniques also, we go for this hypothesis testing, go on taking few lemmas and test whether each lemma is validating its challenge to the knowledge, existing knowledge or not. So hypothesis testing is very important. Then we go for analysis and interpretation. Now, this is one part that is very important because we might have a larger data set, but analyzing and interpreting that, what that data set wants to indicate is very, very important. Then contribution to the existing knowledge. Now, research always aims to bring certain insights, certain new things to the existing knowledge. But those authors, what they do, certain authors, what they do, they take one abstract from one person from one particular paper, the other from a second paper, then they try to combine those things and they try to say that this is certainly new things that we have discovered. So that is not the way the things work. Now, in research, we need to define what type of methodology are we using. There are 5-7 methodology types. What type of methodology are we utilizing in it? Now, in the documentation part. Now, documentation is it may be in terms of reports, maybe in terms of patents, maybe in terms of papers and ethical. But the next aspect is the ethical standards. In ethical standards or the ethical guidelines, what we follow is whether there are certain permissions that are required for the basic science persons to work on the animals or the human subjects. So are those taken? Are the ethical guidelines of the affiliating universities that maintained or followed? So that is something that also we check. The next slide. The next one will go for the introduction to the topic. Now, in the topic itself, I have said that Scopus indexed journals. So, why we are going for the Scopus indexed journals? Why not any other type of indexing? We'll also discuss what are the other type of indexings available to us. So let us discuss what are the Scopus indexed journals benefit. First thing, Scopus is started with our Elsevier only has started the Scopus. So its basic objective is that it's a global visibility and reach. This kind of indexing, it gives your paper a very broad audience. So why that is important? That is important because whatever research you have done, it should reach to many people, so that others can also take interest in our research and they can also continue or contribute more to our field. So that is one thing. Then there is credibility and prestige. That if you say that, okay, I have got a couple of indexed papers and those are being cited heavily, so those are a good thing. And moreover, nowadays when you go for the kind of interview, they tend to ask this question: sir, how many citations do you have? What are the citations of your last 3 papers? What is your maximum? Which paper of yours has got the maximum citation? All those things. And then Scopus indexed journals also, they are also helpful for us in our academic and career advancement. For the API scores also, these are much more important. Then the research evaluation and rankings. Now, sometimes what happens is a good research person, a good researcher is a person who has got some papers in Elsevier indexing, Scopus or SCI, Web of Science, and many other things. So these are also important. Then, while we publish our articles in Scopus indexed journals, we read them, we come across some advanced research tools. That what are the research tools modern day scholars from different countries are using to do a research on my topic, and what are their accuracy, whether they are correct or not. Then the institutional funding compliances, the funding that we receive, they are also be having certain compliances that, okay, we'll give you X amount of rupees and we'll be publishing at least 2 papers or 3 papers on this particular topic. So that is also, they require also a Scopus indexed journal publication. And then the overview of research paper writing process. We'll talk about this in the next couple of slides. I'll go to this particular topic in detail. Then scope and objectives of the paper. Now, what is scope and what is objective of the paper and why these things are much more important? Let us understand in a very simple way. Scope refers to the boundaries. What are the boundaries of your research? Are you, as a researcher, are you able to understand what are the boundaries of your research? Here, the next one is objectives. So what are the objectives of the research? Objectives of the research are the outcomes of the research. Now, one might say here that, sir, we are doing the research here, yes, and how can we know what will be the outcome of our research beforehand? That is where the definition of the research comes in. Now, here, if we go back to that particular slide, what was research? Now, in this first point, systematic investigation, what it says, research involves a structured approach to exploring a specific question or problem. Now, in this specific question or problem, if you know your problem accurately, if you know your problem correctly, then you should also know what are the present day challenges with that problem. Which particular aspect of the problem are you referring to? And what is the present day best result on that particular problem? Supposing in my field, if I'll say that in control system, the best performance is around 0.9 or 98%. The controller is 98% accurate. So what I will do that I'll start working on topics, I'll start working on approaches, on methodologies wherein I'll get an efficiency more than 98%. I'll try to make it 100% accurate. My controller will be 100% accurate. So this is where the objectives of the paper will be clearly defined. Now, these are the other indexing method to Web of Science of the SCI that we all know that is also there. PubMed is very important for the medical healthcare areas. Now, what I have done here, I have not listed all the things because I was unaware about the audience areas. So what I did, I found out the best from many areas and I tried to put it in. Now, DOAG, this is Directory of Open Access Journal. This is one of the most common access the indexing methods that most new journals, they also come under the DOAG category. IEEE Explore for all IEEE papers, they have their different journals. Then the ERIC is there for the people with education background. Jester is there for almost all areas. CAB is there in agricultural and life science tools. Then the emerging citation index is there for the areas that are not covered with Web of Science initially. There is something called as also extended source citation index to journals. So therein other aspects are also getting covered. Clear? Now this particular slide is important. And this says that the structure of a research paper. Now, some might say, sir, the writing method of this particular slide is wrong because you are writing title, abstract, towards the bottom, and along with it, you have mentioned conclusion and future. And you are saying introduction and background, but these are again different things. Methodology and experiments, you are clubbing them. Results and discussion, you are clubbing them. But those are also different things, and why you have written like this. So the thing is, while writing a paper, this is the exact flow what we need to do. Please try and understand what I want to say. Just a moment. Hello. Hello, madam. Are you there? Hello. Is my voice audible to all? Kindly respond in the messages if my voice is audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Okay. So if I go on speaking, you know that sometimes it is getting monotonous. So if anybody is having any doubt, you can ask in between also. No issues. So let us start with it. Okay. So why I have written it like this? Now see, what happens is, if we follow it as I'll write the title of my paper first, then I'll write abstract, then I'll write introduction, then I'll write methodology, then I'll go for the experiment. What happens here is, we will get errors. What kind of errors are we talking about? And what we will get is that the title and abstract, they'll match because those things will be written in one day. Okay. But when you go to the second day, you have forgotten what you have written in abstract. And what was your state of mind but while you are writing abstract. When you go to the introduction, the flow again changes. The flow of work again changes. Wherein you will find something interesting and you'll want to say, okay, let me put this also in there. So that is where, you know, the thing starts to get complicated. And after it comes to us editors for our view on the paper, then we will say that, okay, we are not getting the title, abstract, and conclusion works are not in sync. We are not getting any similarities with the research. We are not able to sync in with the methodology that you have used and why you have used. So these are the things that might appear. So what is the solution? First, let us write our introduction and background. Now, in this introduction and background, what happens is that while writing this introduction and background, we will be clear in our mind that what we have written there. Then let us write the methodology and experiments. Methodology is mostly similar for all experiments, and the experiments you should clearly mention what are its modeling. If you are going for any simulation-based modeling approaches, then results and discussion. Now, results and discussion, most people think result is something different, discussion is something different. No, absolutely not. Results and discussion are always clubbed together, because while performing any experiment, get the results, and those results needs to be validated. A result can and only be validated through a valid discussion of that result. Mr. X, living in a Y country, has done a research on the same topic in recent years. Generally, our focus as editors and reviewers, we don't want you to compare your research work with some research work which had occurred 10 years ago. We never want those comparisons, because those comparisons doesn't stand in front of us, because we know that in 10 years somebody else has worked on this particular topic and the results are better. So what we do, we tend to ask the authors that, sir, madam, kindly rewrite your discussion part with papers of recent authors. Sometimes we ask for the last 3 years. If the editor thinks that it is a broad area and many people have contributed, if not, then we ask for 5 years or 7 years. Yeah. Next is references and citations. Now, these references and citations, these are very important things. We will talk also in details about references and citations, but kindly try and understand, references and citations are not like dry fruits in our pudding. You put them, it is okay. You don't put them, also okay. So these are not like that. These references and citations, they should be there because you have referenced or read something from a particular author or from a particular user. In any case, you want to cite them because you understand that those citings are correct, those references are correct. Clear? So what mostly people do, they write the paper from title to conclusion, then they list out 10-20 references using any method, then they try to put the arbitrary numbers. And when we try to cross-link them, what we find is the paper which you have referenced at a particular portion in introduction is not even related to that particular person. That is again creating certain problems for us. Clear? Well, let us go to the next part. In abstract, what we should write, and the more important thing is what we should avoid. Because we understand what we should write, but we try not to understand, or we tend to avoid what we need to avoid also. But these are the general things. What we should write? The first thing is purpose. Clearly state the aim and objective of the research. Now, here what happens is that the title and the abstract, they should match with the purpose. You cannot have a catchy title, but the title is not related to the abstract. Clear? In methods, it should be very briefly described. Not you start to describing everything in the abstract and all. Because we just need that what method you have used, just a word. And that word will necessarily be included in a keywords. Clear? The results. Now, in these results, what we'll summarize our outcomes and findings. We'll not describe in details what we have. The lines in the results part, they can be a common line. So, like the performance is better as compared to the existing practices. This is a broader line, but That line indicates that my result, my variables, my consonants, whatever constants, whatever we have taken, that they are in line with previous practices. Then conclusion. The conclusion in the abstract is a concise statement about the entire research. In one line, in a one particular sentence, you need some summarize your entire research. This is why, you know, in that particular slide, previous slide, I've said we write abstract at the end. We don't write it at the start because we will be confused with our methods, with our results, with our conclusions. We will get confused, and then what will happen is we will write papers wherein we will not have the flow in the paper. That one part is linked to the other is linked to the third, like that. Okay. So what we need to avoid in abstract? Things we need to avoid in abstract are too much details. We don't want any technical explanations, extended explanation about a particular thing in the abstract. Because if you try to put too many things in abstract, your abstract is basically between 150 to 250 words. So you try to put too many things, you try to complicate the abstract, which again causes a lots of problems. Again, don't use any undefined abbreviations, symbols, jargon, anything in abstract. If you are utilizing any, if there is an absolute need to use any symbol, you need to define that symbol in the abstract before utilizing. And the same thing goes with the titles also. In titles, the one thing we hate is people using the abbreviations. Don't use any abbreviations in titles. Make the titles a 2-line title maximum. Don't go for the 3-line titles also if your paper is long. Then, okay. The next aspect is references. Abstracts don't have any references or citations. Abstract is just the summary of our own work. So please keep in mind, don't keep any citations or references in abstract. Then the length of the abstract, it is around 150 to 250 words. The next part is introduction. Now, in this introduction part, there are certain things which we need to write. Now, what to write? Now, there will be background of research. So what does background of research means? Background of research means in one particular paragraph, you'll start with the broader area, then gradually what you will do is you will go on minimizing, and while you reach to the exact research problem. Now this background of research needs to be very short. Probably in 3-4 lines also, we can just start with the broader area and then come down to our particular research problem. Why? Now, because most journals we have word limits, and in limited word, I want to use more words for my research rather than concentrating more on the research problem. I'll write the problem and then I'll move on. And what are the research gaps? Now, what is exactly a research gap? Gap means what? Gap means certain voids. So what are the voids in research? Now you might ask, how we will get these voids, get to know about the voids in research? That you can know when you start to study more and more number of research papers that are published in peer-indexed journals or Scopus indexed journals. You can browse those journals. There are certain methods also. You can download them for free. And if you are not able to download, there are mail IDs of authors also available. You mail the author, respected sir, I need this particular paper of yours for me to read it. So the authors are always understanding. They will definitely give you the papers. I myself have contacted many authors when I don't get their papers. So they give that. Then objective. Clearly state your research objectives. You can put it in forms of questions, but The objective needs to be clearly stated. Bullet point wise, you need to state your research objectives. You need to write down those objectives beforehand. You need to stick while writing to the paper every day, while writing your paper, some portions. Every day you read your research objectives. Don't stray away from the research objectives. This is the most common mistake that people do. They write one objective, they do one thing, then the objectives and the work does not match. Then we will be going on asking the sir, what is it? The research objective does not match. Review 1 is complete. Review 2, your objective does not match. Review 3, your objective does not match. So those things are not good research. Good research. Then significance. What does significance in introduction mean? This is potentially a point where we will try and explain to you, or where we'll explain as author to the common people or your readers that why your research is important. Why you are doing this. The why question mark is answered in this part. Then, like I said previously, you outline the boundaries and your approach in the school. Now, what we need to avoid. Now again, in this section also we avoid broad information. Too much of general, unrelated information is definitely not required. It is not in use, and moreover, it is very, very cumbersome to read many lines about unrelated things and then come to a conclusion that this paper is not at all suitable. So good researchers, what they do, now they write a very few backgrounds, they cite papers there, the paper sightings that if anybody wants to learn more on that, they'll go and read that particular research paper. Okay. So no need of putting over information, broad information in the paper. Now let us go for the detailed methodology. Now, detailed methodology, there's a different section called methodology in the paper. If you are going to describe everything in introduction, what will happen is people will start losing interest in your paper, because they'll start to know, okay, these are the methodology they are used, so these are the things they might have done. So there is no point reading it. So you are making your own paper. You are making, by that citing, you are writing detailed methodology in introduction. You are making people to go away from your paper. So they will not read it. They will not cite it. Clear? Then there is excessive citations. Now this is something which the initial researchers they start to do. They'll cite 4 or 5 citations for one particular case, and in the other case, they will not be able to cite with 1 or 2. Clear? So while citing, please divide your entire introduction into 5-6 stages. What you want to write, how you want to write, and what are your citations for each particular stage, and try to maintain same number of citations. If you are maintaining the background part, if you are citing 4 papers, maintain the same 4 papers in research gap, maintain the same 4 papers, not same 4 papers, means same 4 number of papers. Don't go for 16 in one part and the other part will be having 1 or 2 papers. So don't do that. That is the excessive citations. One common mistake that most young researchers tends to do, they will write words like towards the end of the introduction, they'll use certain words like in summary, conclusively, like this. And those are the words we don't want to hear in introduction part. For that, we will go for your result and analysis section, and we will read there what you have done. So don't put results or conclusive words in your introduction part. Introduction is for the introduction alone. You give less importance to the background. People don't want to know the background. Then keep it selfish. describe your research gap, your objectives, your significance, and your scope. Even the background will be very small also, that also works. Because the persons reading your paper, they know on your topic. That's why they are there to read your paper. Yeah. Then let us go for the literature review. Now, why literature review is important in introduction? In this literature review, we can identify the gaps in current research. Like, what are the things that the researchers are searching nowadays? So nowadays, people are searching for machine learning or deep learning tools. Now, how deep learning tools are applied for general sciences branch or for engineering branch or for medical branch? Then you pick any of the topic. Then you come home for the reviewing related works. So how we go for the related works? How we particularly choose that particular one? Okay, this is one thing. This topic fascinates me. So this particular topic starts to fascinate me more. Because if a research topic is forced on you, you know what will happen is you'll start losing interest on that particular topic. Now, when you start losing interest in the topic, there is a broad possibility that you will not be able to do a good research on that particular topic. So, kindly choose a topic that is fascinating you and you can read on that particular topic days and nights out. Clear? So, that particular topic, it will help you a lot. Then, there is certain things called as relevance, establishing the relevance of the research. Now what we are interested to do or what we are doing, it should have certain relevance in our topic. Because without relevance, it is very difficult for us even to accept a paper or a paper. Sometimes we come across things that are way ahead of their time. That I might tell you that one of the control systems, while I'm working on electrical, I can tell you on that. There is a paper written in 1994. Yeah. So certainly 30 years ahead of its time at that time. The particular German author has got only 10 citations to that particular paper. When I came across that particular paper in 2020, it fascinated me. I started working on it. So there are certain things that are written way ahead, so they can be relevant nowadays. So please try and establish this relevance to your topic. So that is why literature reviews are important. Then research methodology. Now, these research methodologies, there are hybrid methodologies nowadays. People tend to choose 2-3 methodologies. There are many types of data collection techniques they use. Some might go for a survey. There are this Big Monkey website or the Survey Monkey websites are there. They give you a charge very small amount and they give you the platform where you can do your survey. So there are data collection techniques are there, whether you are going for a door-to-door data collection technique like the old days, or you are utilizing Kaggle data. Though at personal level, I'll never advise anyone to use the Kaggle data. Kaggle data are free, but Kaggle data do have errors. If you are good at analyzing and finding out where the error is, what are the error values in that, can use Kaggle data. But if you are naive, you don't know anything on how you are going for data filtering, how we go for data analysis, pre-data analysis, that whatever data we have got, whether it is correct or not, So all those things are important. Now here, let me tell you a story. A few days ago, as going to a petrol pump to put fuel in my car, I saw certain representatives from SBI credit card division. They are giving few forms to the customers here, and they're saying, "Sir, please fill the form. These are important for us, and we will work accordingly." What people used to do, they take out their pens, they put the random dots, they give them that. They write their names, they put the random dots, and they are giving them without reading what is there written in that sheet. When she came to me and handed over that, "Sir, please fill this," and when I started to read, and she saying, "Sir, you are the only person who is reading. People are not even reading; they're just circling the options and they're giving us." So those kind of data collection techniques also puts a question mark on the validity of your research. Clear? And the writing process. But this writing process, I'll also give you an example towards the end of my presentation. We will be interacting during that time also about the writing process. So what exactly is the writing process? Now, while writing your paper or while drafting your paper, it is very, very important to have clarity and precision of thoughts. Write small sentences in your research paper. Write complete sentences. Don't leave a sentence with a question mark. So there's a sentence like, "Ram is a good boy." It's a very simple sentence. Yes, sir, it's a very small sentence also, like I said. But is the sentence complete? No. Why? What is the missing part? Now, why I am saying Ram is a good boy? The why question mark is there. You know, what, when, why? These are the three question marks which you can put in a sentence. If any one of the question marks or more question marks are arising in a sentence, means it is incomplete sentence. So please avoid writing incomplete sentences. You can read many number of papers. You can check how the authors are writing the same things, but in a more structured way, utilizing complete sentences. Then the next one is ensuring consistency and flow. That means paper flow, I have utilized many a times during the presentation. But what exactly a paper flow means? And what is ensuring consistency? Here. Paper flow means the first paragraph should have certain links with the third. After reading the third, you will tend to know what is happening. Then you should be able to understand, okay, the author is trying to address this problem. So in the next paragraph, is addressing this particular. Then in the next paragraph, after reading that, he will be, okay, the author has addressed this problem. So now he will be addressing that who at all are working on this. So he will be giving us a detailed literature review. Yeah. So this is called as a paper. But while writing, what happens is this flow is very, very difficult to maintain. Trust me, you can go on writing paper. If you have any written paper, you read it, or you give to someone who doesn't know anything on it, on your topic, or even might to a guide or a context scholar also. They will say that, "Sir, these are the things that are needs to that we fail to understand." Clear? Take the criticisms constructively, and you can definitely improve upon your writing. Now, then, this is one part which I try others to understand, make others to understand that what is the peer review process, what goes in it, and how difficult it is for us to do a or come to a decision and try and make people understand that the research is of importance or research is of eminence to me. Okay. So what is the peer review process? Now in the peer review process, what happens is that when you will submit a particular manuscript, the manuscript submission takes place, then it directly comes to the editor for screening. Clear? After it comes to the editor for screening, what happens is that the editor then decides whether the is fit, whether the paper is fit for the journal or if there is some problems with it. Like if the editor finds that okay, this is the problem, then only the things will go to the next round. Otherwise, it gets rejected there. Then the editor, what he does, then he selects reviewer. And based on this particular paper, who are the reviewers for that particular paper? What are the criteria that after reading the paper, the editor understands that what are the criteria I need to see. So we go for a reviewer selection. Then after selecting, all reviewers are not acceptable or accessible for us. What we do, we go for reviewer invitation. We invite them, respected sir and madam, we are having this paper, kindly be kind enough to verify this. So if they accept, then the next stages come, that is peer review evaluation. Peer review means there are two kinds of reviews are there. One is blindfolded, the other one is not is plain review. Blindfolded means you will never know, the reviewer will never know who are the authors. And the traditional review method means that in that case, the reviewer will know who are the writers of the paper. Clear? So generally, in Elsevier, we go for the common review, but in Springer or in the science, there are journals that go for the blind review. So that is very journal specific. Clear? They'll mention in their website there's a blind review only, they'll mention. Like in India Science, when you submit the paper, they'll never take a paper with their author names written in it. If anybody wants to try, you can go for the India Science journals, go any journal, try to submit a paper, they'll never take a journal paper with the name of the authors written in it. They will always go for a blind review. Then after evaluating the paper, the feedback is received by the editor. Now, this feedback then determines the editor decision. If there are two or three, we will definitely go for minimum 3 evaluations of a particular paper. Clear? If there are 2 or 3 who wants to accept the paper with revisions, minor or major, whatever it may be, then the paper goes into the next round. If there are 2 persons who are saying if this paper does not have any newness in it or novelty in it, then the paper gets rejected. There might be the cases that the authors find out that the editor or the reviewers find that the paper does not fit to the scope of the journals. They might also reject that. Clear? Then revision if needed. So these revisions are there, though minor or major, but revisions, certain revisions will be there. Then final review will be sent. The paper will again be sent to those particular reviewer. If they have accepted the criteria that they will require to see the revised manuscript. Sometimes when the reviewers are busy, what they tend to do, that they tend to ignore that part. No, I'll not be available. I'm not available for further reviews. So what happens is it is again goes back to the reviewer selection. Again, another set of reviewers are selected. They will be sent the unedited paper as well as the edited paper. Both the papers will be sent to them, and then they will check that okay, these are the previous editors, reviewers comment. These are the editor's comment. These are the things that are available, and again they'll go for it. Yeah. If they accept, then the paper goes into the publication. The first they will be available online without the volume and the issue number. Then when the time comes, the volume and issue number are assigned and they will be associated like this. Clear? The next couple of stages are responding to reviewer comments. Now, this is sometimes this particular part, responding to reviewer comments, defines whether a reviewer wants to give you a second chance or not. Even if he is not satisfied with your answers, if it is written politely, if it is written correctly, the reviewers sometimes they tend to give people second chances. So please, while writing any review, any comment to reviewer, please kindly be polite. There is no harm being polite to someone. Then revising and refining the paper. But this is sometimes, it gets into our skin that how come someone else is poking at a question at a thing which is 100% correct, which is as per my knowledge. It is 100% correct. Why he is saying that this is not correct and change it and others. Clear. So please try and understand if somebody is raising a question, it does not mean you are wrong. It never means you are wrong. It just means that the particular person is unable to understand the literature and your writing style. That is why a question is raised. Because for an English speaking country, their language is very different than a non-English speaking country. You try for any Iranian journals, you will get questions that will blow your minds out. So there is one word is analyze. ANALYSC. And some countries they like ANALYZD. Clear? You write ZD in an Iranian journal, they'll wherever you use that word, they'll give you a error that okay, these words are error words, these are wrong words. You write SC words. And you have to do that if you want your paper to be published. Otherwise, they'll keep on returning you the paper. There are many journals, Iranian journal. There's Iranian Journal of Electrical Engineering. Then there is Iranian International Journal of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. Then there's Journal of Renewable Energy and Research, Journal of Renewable and Sustainable Energy. Many journals are there. All Scopus indexed and SCI indexed journals. Clear. So many things are there. You can definitely check that also. Then what are the submissions to a Scopus indexed journal? What are the common mistakes we tend to do? And do we read the submission guidelines? Now, this is one part which we want to discuss in detail. Selecting an appropriate journal, I'll tell you how to select later on. The first, let us understand that what are the submission guidelines? Each journal has got a guideline of its own. They tend to give guidelines for how to write abstract, how a title will be written, what are the number of words that can be used in title, what are the number of words to be used in abstract, what are the total number of words in a manuscript, whether your manuscript is a review manuscript or a research manuscript, then again the number of words changes. Clear? There are many guidelines on that. So before submitting any paper, my honest request, kindly read those guidelines, because these again are causing the rejections. Clear? Now, What are the common mistakes to avoid during submission? The first common mistake that I have told is not following journal guidelines. Yeah, sorry, I'm suffering from cold. The first is not to following the journal guidelines. One common mistake that authors do is citing the references. A reference is a very small thing, but every journal has got its own referencing style. Yeah, every publishing house. May it be Elsevier, may it be Springer, may it be My Journal. We definitely have different referencing styles. Clear. So what people do, they don't check the referencing style while submitting the journal. So what as an editor we will do, we'll again have to, oh, this is again in that or not in that format. Then again we'll have to return it. So returning sometimes is a very, it gives a bad impression on the authors. The editor will generally have a bad impression. Ah, these are not serious persons. They just are submitting like that. Here. And next is incomplete or incorrect submission. So don't give any fake data or false data. You can delay your submission. There is no add and fast rule that you have to submit your paper today only. You can start the submission today. You can do it after 1 month. No issues. Don't go for same day submissions and don't give incorrect data. Clear? Then poorly written abstract. This is one of the most common mistakes again. The abstract will be, the required word length of abstract will be 150 to 200 words or 150 to 175 words. The abstract will be of 180 words. And the logic behind that will be that I cannot reduce 5 words. So it is not about 5 words. It is about sticking to the guidelines that is being provided. You have to remove the 5 words. You have to bring it into our limit. We will not allow any abstract with more words to go through. That is our policy. So that is again causing some rejections there. Then unpolished manuscript. What does unpolished manuscript means? Now, there are manuscripts with language errors. So for that, how can that be resolved? You can go for reversal. If the reversal is free, you take 500, 600 characters. That's around 5-6 lines. Go on checking, or you check it with Grammarly. If you're having a premium version of Grammarly, you can check that with. Or if you're not having, you can definitely go for reversal. Reversal takes words, analyzes you, and it gives you the correct English. Then check for the paper flow, whether paragraph after paragraphs are linked or not. Don't put any alien paragraph between two linked paragraphs. That causes a lots of problem and people tend not to understand what you want to say. Yes. The next one is targeting the wrong job. Now this is one of the more common mistakes. We'll deal to that, we'll come to that, well, I'll go for that journal, the types, the AI, where it is being used. The next one is overly complex language. Now, please try and understand the readers, the editors, the reviewers are all persons having expertise in your own branch. Clear? They might not be well conversant in English. Now, somebody, if I'll say somebody, let us take the example of India. Now, somebody from a southern India is well conversant in their own language and as well as in English. They are very less conversant in Hindi. Now, somebody from a northern India will be more conversant in Hindi. He might not be knowing any southern languages. He might not be even knowing English correctly. Clear? So, imagine in your mind talking with somebody from southern India is talking to a guy from a northern India. Clear? So overly complex languages needs to be avoided. Clear? Then One more thing is conflicts of interest. Whether you are having conflicts of interest or not, whether the editor of a journal is your relative, is your brother, or you yourself belong to the editor of any journal of that particular publishing house, whether you are the reviewer of a paper that you are being author of. So those are conflicts of interest. Those needs to be avoided. Being an editor, I cannot apply or I cannot submit any paper to my journal. So that is the declaration of conflict of interest that I have to give. Clear? Then incomplete author information. Now this is something very common. Now what the students will do generally, or the scholars do generally, is they'll have common statements, few common statements about their guides, and they'll put that particular information without knowing whether that information is required or not. Like we are requiring photos, sometimes the photographs are missing, and then the editor has to write them back. Sir, please provide the photograph. Please put it in the proper format. All those things. Yeah. Next one is ethical approval. Most research does not need ethical approval, but wherever ethical approval is needed, you need to give that permission letter while submitting it to the journal. Many bigger journals, they will not consider your paper without the ethical committee clearance. Clear? So these are the submission stages, common mistakes. Then let us discuss about the ethical considerations. What are the ethical considerations? Previously, whatever I have said here, skipping ethical approval. Ethical approval means the ethical committee clearance that is needed for basic sciences and humanities if you are conducting research on animals and humans. This ethical considerations means whether you are going for plagiarism or there are any forms of other plagiarized sources involved. The first one is avoiding plagiarism. I'll tell you how plagiarism occurs and how to avoid it. Here, ensuring authorship integrity. It means that only those persons who are real authors should only be named as authors. No gifting of authorship occurs. Okay, Mr. X is a colleague of our guide, so let us give him a authorship in the paper and he will be happy. Those kind of things should not be encouraged. Clear? The next one is compliance with ethical standards. Now, these ethical standards are fixed for journals. Every journals have got this ethical standards in their website. Please browse them, go through that ethical journal, ethical standards, and there you will come to know about many things. Now, what is informed consent? In this, what happens is, supposing that you want to cite a particular figure from a particular paper. So before utilizing his figure, you need to obtain a consent from him, a mail from him. You need to mail him, sir, I want to use this particular figure. Can we use it? Can I use it? Here. So before utilizing it in your journal, you should have obtained his consent, and while you use it, you need to cite that also. That okay, this particular figure has been brought from this particular reference. So while writing the below the name of the figure, numbering of the figure, name of the figure, then cite the particular reference where you have obtained that particular figure from. And privacy and confidentiality. That this comes with the basic science humanities. That while you are working on any particular subjects or diseases, so you need to adhere to the privacy of the person and confidentiality of the person. Don't cite their names and authors. Clear? And while if you want to give their photo, you obtain written permission from them that okay, we can utilize their photographs. Then avoid any harm. Don't write certain things or words which can harm the reputation of a person or others. Okay. So the next is transparency in data. So this data transparency should be maintained. Where you have obtained your data, how you have obtained your data, what is your data collection basis, all these things needs to be maintained. How you have framed those questions, so those are also important. Then conflict of interest disclosure, visa approval, ethical approval, then fair authorship. This I was discussing about ensuring authorship integrity. Fair authorship means authorship is not gifted. Somebody is helping you, you can definitely give them a, you can write one heading in that paper about your reference that the authors are indebted to, you can go for the acknowledgement part in that paper. You are like the authors are indebted to Dr. So-and-so, professor of or associate professor of this for his efforts in contributing to this. That can be written, but don't go for authorship to every person. Everyone does not need an authorship. Clear? Then compliance with legal regulations, you know what are the legal regulations of your university, of your state. So please don't go for any illegal activities. Clear? Then the data storage, proper data storage. Keep these data that are analyzed or that are being accessed with you before publishing. Don't lose the data. It might be required in the later stages of it. So then go for the honest peer review processes. These are again not with the authors, but with the editors and the reviewers. Just a moment. Okay. So what is the honest peer review process? Now, in honest peer review process, what happens is that the reviewer should be honest. The reviewer cannot have a conflict of interest. He might be associated with you. He might be knowing you. He might be knowing that okay, if I am I'm a co-author there, but if I remain silent, I'll also be a reviewer here, and the paper will get published. Clear? So all these things needs to be considered. This also again I have discussed with the peer review process. So I'm just skipping this part, but okay. One part is there post publication. This part is also important. You will find there are papers which you will see that one day you are reading that paper, but again you will search it, then you will say that you'll see that it is written retracted. Retraction occurs in papers that is associated with post publication. Now, post publication, if they find that your three papers are having lot of similarities in between them, then the editor may decide that okay, this is affecting the integrity of my publishing house, my publication, my journal. I'll retract the paper. Those retractions are possible. So post publication, kindly check your own papers after a year or so to check that has anyone utilized it illegally or not. If you are finding anyone is utilizing your research illegally without taking permission from you, then or they have not even cited your paper, but they are utilizing a large chunk of it, then you are feel free to contact the editor of that particular journal. They will retract the paper. This retraction occurs. That part is in the post-publication stages. But this impact of publication, this again we have already discussed in the first part. And conclusion. Now again, how to write a conclusion? Why conclusion? And if anybody has submitted a paper, you'll know that one of the most common lines of reviewers are the abstract and conclusion are not in sync with each other. The abstract and conclusions are different. What does that mean? That clearly indicates that the flow of work in conclusion is somewhere wrong. What is flow of work? And that what exactly is written. Now the summary of key points. I remember what we told in abstract. Again, we are discussing the same things, but little bit of change here and there. So summary of key points. So whatever you have cited there, you have to justify it in your conclusion. Then importance of following best practices. This indicates that whatever practice or whatever methodology you have chosen, that is best enough for your results to be validated. That methodology is the result of what you have got. Clear? Now, encouragement for continuous learning and improvement. Now, this is one line, sometimes what happens if I follow a certain method, I get a particular thing, but again, that thing is not up to the mark. So, that those kind of things should be avoided and should not be utilized. That is why we said that encouragement for continuous learning and improvement should be there. Continuous learning should be there, but not at the cost of research integrity. Now, we all know we all are very busy in our life. So, how to use AI in paper writing? Now, before going on to show you what to do, what not to do in using AI, remember, AI is not even 10% accurate. AI can be wrong. AI is accurate only in case of small words. You want to correct the grammar in a sentence. You want to correct the position of preposition in a sentence. Then AI can be correct. So let us try and understand how the data collection and what are the uses of the one. Let us try and understand how AI is used in research. The first one is data collection and organization, data organization. And this is the pre-analysis of data. You collect the data, then we go for its pre-analysis, which is the best tool to use. And the best tool to use is Scrappy. But again, Scrappy does your analysis perfectly, but it is not prone to, it is not that Scrappy is 100% correct. Scrappy is also prone to error. You can check it if the data set is large. So what we get is we get a lots of error. Go for data analysis using Python scikit-learn or TensorFlow if you are going for certain image analysis part. But again, scikit-learning is also being prone to certain kinds of errors. It will not do the processing as you want to do. Then the next one is simulation and modeling. Now, simulation and modeling, the best tool is to use MATLAB. Now, there are alternatives available. There is an alternative called Scilab, SCILAB. Scilab, which is available, is the open source. But again, in MATLAB, you can get a second chance or a third chance. You can stop a program, you can correct your code, then you can rerun it. But in Scilab, that part is not there. Hello. Hello. Any problems, sir? Hello. Okay. Then the next part is literature review and text mining. Now, Iris AI does a good literature review. Iris AI you could use. You can use also PDF summarizer. They go for the best literature review and text mining. They'll summarize your entire PDF. They'll summarize whatever you have written or whatever a particular person have written, and it does its job. Then there is image analysis or video analysis. For that, you can use Google Cloud Vision API. You can use this IBM Watson Studio is there. So all those things are there, very good for the image analysis or video analysis. But the only problem is that sometimes they go for redundant error, especially with Google Cloud Vision API. Sometimes the redundancy error occurs. So be aware of those things. Then automation systems, the ROS is there. ROS is for the robot operating system. For lab automation it is being used, and this is a very good software. You can also use it. Then for writing and editing purposes, you can use Grammarly for a writing improvement, for checking the grammar, for correcting the grammar, but don't go beyond anything beyond that. Then there is OpenAI's ChatGPT. 3.5 was there free, now 4.0 you are getting 4.5 free contents daily. My advice to you will be, if you are going to use ChatGPT, please run the RISE, please know the RISE format, RISCE. I'll tell you what is that in the prompt part. You learn that, you'll get the best possible results, you'll get the best possible codes, tools, and others. But again, please do check for its similarity, because nowadays the plagiarism software, they used to catch whether it is written using AI or not. So please check utilizing particularly the tools like Turnitin. The next is citation management. Now this citation management, personally I'll advise for researchers for starting a phrase, use Mendeley. Now Mendeley will import all your papers to Mendeley, then utilizing Mendeley in your Word in the reference part, you can cite it out. Otherwise, if you are able to do it manually, then also it is good. Zotero also, you can use Zotero. Zotero also is equally good with or equally compared to Mendeley. Then collaborations and networking. For a research paper, if you want to reach out to someone or to others for use of AI or recommended collaborators, ResearchGate is one such good platform for networking amongst researchers. People share their papers there also. You can download, you can contact them. Here. Now for plagiarism detection, we use Turnitin. Please try and understand, while utilizing Turnitin, there is a word limit that has been set in Turnitin. That word limit for a journal paper is 14 words, 1 foot. Clear? Sometimes what people do, they overburden themselves because predominantly that word limit is set to 8 words in Turnitin. By default, it is always 8 words. So before you go for this scan, go to the settings, check out what is the word limit. If it is 8, make it 14, because 14 is ideally the word that is taken for a plagiarism analysis. Then next. Like if you are going for any kind of ethical research or compliance, IBM Watson Studio is the best because it gives ethical standards. It gives the bestest of the ethical standards and data privacy. No data will again anytime be leaked or anywhere. So you can definitely use them. Now, deep mind in fields like physics or biology is very good for hypothesis generation and testing. So that again is a very good tool. Now, AI in research writing. Sometimes people get confused that what AI tool does which part. Sometimes you'll see in many of these FDPs, there will be people who will only be talking about copy AI, only be talking about chat GPT. Some might be talking about Bard or Gemini. Whatever, Bard or Gemini, both are in fact same. Because initially Bard, it has now become Gemini. So the thing is, you can use everything. There is no limit. But don't copy paste the contents of ChatGPT, copy AI directly into your research paper. You can take your outlines from there. Please have a practice of writing down your own words. Read those things you write down. It gives a better understanding to you and gives a better way of refining your research. Sometimes ChatGPT does give error, copy AI does give error. So please understand where to use them. Now, where we use ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT we definitely use in creating outlines, defining sections, finding grammar errors, and all those things. Where we use copy AI is while we are writing the conclusions. Generally, people use copy AI with writing the sections of paper like conclusions. We give a introduction part, the other parts, and then we just generate the conclusions part to know which one is better. Then there is Grammarly. Grammarly checks for all grammar errors. Only don't go for the plagiarism analysis with Grammarly. That is absolutely not required. It is very cumbersome and it is not at all required. Go for the Hemingway editor also. If you are having any complex sentences, go for the Hemingway editor. You can use it, the Hemingway editor, for your enhancing the sentence readability. Yeah. For citations and references, there are the screen methods are there, Zotero is there, EndNote is there. Mentally, my personal advice will be that people start with Mentally, or whatever you choose, you stick with that. Don't change that. For one paper I'm utilizing Mentally, the other I'll utilize EndNote, the third one I'll go for Zotero. What happens? You will miss out on the important updates or miss out on the important methods. Then again, you'll get confused. And plagiarism detection. These are the two methods generally. There is a Turnitin and there is Grammarly Premium. Now, Grammarly Premium, though it is a plagiarism detection method, but it is not that accurate. Go for Turnitin. Don't ever go for any free plagiarism detection tools. Don't put your work in a free plagiarism detection tool. There's nothing free. So you'll lose out on some of your data. Some might utilize it. There are many things going behind that. We're not going into that, but don't go for this free plagiarism detection tools. Now, one might say that, sir, Turnitin is costly. We don't have access to Turnitin. How we are going to utilize it? You can contact your friend at different universities. Now, more or less every university is having its own Turnitin. Contact your librarian. They will definitely guide you with the Turnitin. They have a edition of Turnitin. More or less, it is compulsory for universities to have the Turnitin or plagiarism check. Here. Now, how to find this relevant journal? Now, these are there are many AI-based websites. Every journal has it. Springer has it, Elsevier has it. Then Wiley has it. Wiley is the journal finder for Wiley. Springer journal suggester for Springer. So what they do, they take the keywords. They will take a broad area. Then from that broad area, they will come down to your area specific, what work you are doing. Then they will take your abstract. Then they will search based on that abstract. What are the journals? They'll list out all the journals they have. What are the journals and what is their possible acceptance rate and what is the possible duration? You choose based on your paper, what you are looking at, the best judge for your paper. If you have written a paper that is average or below average, don't go for a high impact factor journal. There's a good chance of it being rejected. If you know you have done something very much groundbreaking, you are involved in lots of research, go for a big impact factor journals. And what they will do is they'll publish, if they publish your paper, which will give you much more importance. Yeah. Then research and review. We have the semantic scholar, we have the Google scholar. Semantic scholar, generally all IEEE papers and the information related to those are found with the semantic scholars. Google scholar lists out all papers, books, conferences, all academic articles indexed somewhere with the Google scholar. Then what are the best practices for utilizing AI in writing? The first best practice is verify and cross-check. Always verify and cross-check your resources. Whenever you are utilizing AI in your research paper writing means, please verify whether the sentences written by them are correct or not. There is a high possibility that the Chat GPT and Gemini, they will give you redundant articles, redundant contents. Some part of it will be redundant. Redundant, when I say redundant, means they will not have any meaning, but they will be there. A couple of lines will be there. So please verify and cross-check them. Then, maintaining academic integrity. Now, you can generate the contents from AI resources, but don't copy paste it directly. You read those contents, you write it yourself. Sometimes these contents are essential that someone who's works in writing skills but is a good drafter, he can read those contents and redraft it. So that is why these are used. Here, third one is use AI as a supplement. AI can be used as a supplement, but it should not be your primary tool. I'll give you one example. There was a guy from South Africa. He's written some paper and he has submitted to a journal. So he has given the code, and in that code, pseudo code, whatever he has given, the boy has unfortunately used Chat GPT, and there is the word Chat GPT written in that pseudo code. He has sent it to my journal. So whenever we came across that, we told him to that whether you have used this content from a AI generation site, and please review it. He was arguing that no, this has not been written. So in any case, the paper got rejected. So please don't utilize those things. And while copy pasting, please be sure that it is only your work. Don't copy paste from AI directly. Then this part. How to remove plagiarism. Now, while if my advice will be, if you want to remove plagiarism, go for tools like Grammarly, check what they're doing, how they're doing, then try to do this on your own, which is the best way. If someone does not want to do that, then there are paraphrasing tools. There is something, a website called as Reverso. Then there is something called as Quillbot. Now, Quillbot, there is a synonym slider is there. Set the synonym slider always to 0. Otherwise, it will just go on searching synonyms for word and it will change it. Set the slider to 0 in Quillbot, synonym slider. Then only you put the text, it will give you a plagiarized free writing. Clear? If the plagiarism is more than 2 or 3 lines, then you have to remove it. Now, please try and understand what plagiarism needs to be removed. If the plagiarism is for continuously 2-3 lines, then you have to remove it. There is no other way out. But if it is spread across few words, you can choose to ignore it. Clear? But again, that is not advisable. So you can paraphrase it. There are many paraphrasing tools. Quillbot is there. Even ChatGPT paraphrases it. Then citation is also important. You need to cite the sources in the particular format also, whether if you are putting some things, if you are putting it, whether quotation marks are there correctly or not. Sometimes what people tend to forget, they'll use the quotation mark at the start, but there will be no an ending to it. So that again, the software turnitin does not understand and it will scan for plagiarism. Yeah. Then integrate sources thoughtfully. So whatever material, whatever methods, whatever things you are utilizing, utilize it very thoroughly, thoughtfully. Give a thought to that, whether this is correct or not. Don't go into a mode where it says that, okay, anything written by ChatGPT is 100% correct. I can give you many things. I'll give you examples of how people fall into the ChatGPT redundancy trap. Will be giving you the same content, you'll be copying pasting it, but it is of no use. Yeah. Then review and revise. All borrowed phrases and attributed attributes properly, whether they are putted or not. If not, they are putted. How many characters or how many words you are copying? You can copy less than 6 or up to 8 is good, because more than 8 only they'll catch the plagiarism. Yeah. And the best way to remove a plagiarism is read the sentence, read a paragraph and write it on your own. And trust me, if you read a paragraph and write it on your own, there's no question of getting a plagiarism. Clear? Now next, understand what constitutes plagiarism. Now, the plagiarism is broadly into two parts. There is one part called as the self-plagiarism. The other part is the paraphrasing or copying without any citation. That is also a type of plagiarism. Self-plagiarism means you are citing your own work. Now, this is mainly discouraged, but there are many authors who do this. But I'll definitely ask you, don't cite your own works. Your citation score, it will take time to improve. There's no need to get panic on that. It will take time to improve, but don't go for the self-plagiarism mode by citing your own paper yourself. Yeah. Try and understand what is the direct copying, paraphrasing without citation. Direct copying means you have taken a part from someone's paper, but you are not giving him a citation, neither you are putting him. What it will do when we will check it, we will find out everything about it. And that again leads to many other things. Clear? Next is plan your research and writing process. This is very important. You plan what, if you are writing introduction, you plan what will be the first paragraph about, what will be the next paragraph, what will be the third paragraph, what will be the fourth paragraph, how to write the research objectives point by using bullet points. What are my linking sentences between the paragraph? So that is important. Then using citation management tools, Mentally, EndNote, Zotero, they give you a good track. No, if you are putting a new paper in Mentally and then you are just writing about that, you can easily cite it out and end it there only. Yeah. Then checking your work regularly. If you have written, now what people do generally is they write 1 or 2 pages, then they check for it about what are the plagiarisms, they remove it, then again they continue further. Now this takes a lot of time. So generally what we do, what I advise is write your entire paper, don't copy paste it. After writing your entire paper, what you need to do is go for Turnitin, check it out with 14 words, what is your plagiarism, then come back, highlight the places where you want to change, The maximum plagiarism percentage will be 5% from one paper. So if there are 10 papers having more than 5%, you have to bring all the 10 down below 5%. There are journals which are accepting 10 to 15% plagiarism, no issues with that. Clear? So try to do this. Then the next one is try to educate yourself on academic integrity. Please try and understand what is the academic integrity, what are the integrities in academic writing and research, why we consider the salami slicing as a very difficult thing or very unethical thing. Salami slicing is there is one big paper is there and it's very lengthy and people cut it out to multiple papers and publish. That is what is salami slicing. Then author gifting of authorships, that is also very bad. Then bullying in academic writing, there's a big part in bullying. Bullying means there will be someone senior to you who will be saying, okay, I'll be the first author. I'm the senior most, I'll be the first author. No, the person who has written the paper, it is his right to be the first author. If you have contributed in authorship, only you can be listed as an author, not that. Please keep the integrity. And this is it. And let us come to this back. Now, this is one thing also which we want to talk, and what should be done. Now, the first thing is why we are getting rejection. This is a sarcastic thing written in a sarcasm way that like Mondays, rejections are inevitable. So there are few reasons that I have chosen. So one can read that your research is not innovative, or the abstract is a masterpiece of ambiguity. It is written in such a bad manner that the editors, the reviewers could not decipher what was written. And methodology. The methodology was a delightful mystery. So it was such a mysterious method of methodology. It lacked a lot. It lacked lot of characters in it. That the methodology was outright rejected. The results that defy logic. People with the faulty data from Kaggle, why I was utilizing the Kaggle. People with faulty data from Kaggle, they come with the logics that defy everything, the results that defy every logic. There was this weather data once, and there was a cyclone here in the month of October. So the wind speeds are bound to be high, very high. So what the authors did, they did not remove those data while going for the AI-based analysis of wind speeds. So they come to a conclusion that in once every year, due to subtle geographical changes in Earth, the wind speed changes. And this is very defining logic. This result does not make us understand anything. Because there is a cyclone for which the weather changes, then what are you trying to prove? Here. Then discussion. Discussion, it should answer question rather than avoiding answers. In discussion, when somebody is going into the writing the discussion, it should answer why the things are better and who at all have got similarities with your kind of results. Clear? And the references. So what wrong in references? Now these are more like a random list. Like I told you, what people used to do, they used to write from title to reference. They write the references, then they will go for putting the references abnormally. So that is of no use. Then formatting. Formatting also is a very important part in research paper writing. The paper is not written in proper format, but it is being done. Yeah. In timelines, you need to stick to the timelines, you need to stick to the grammar and style, you need to be, the paper need to be relevance. You cannot be researching on a very vague or very new topic which does not make any sense. Clear? I know this might hurt many, but the thing is, many new things will be discouraged. New things means some things that comes very new. New things does not indicate a new research. Then how to handle rejection? Sometimes I have seen many scholars, many faculties, they get offended, they get switched off when they get this rejection, but again, you should not let rejections affect. Take it positively. Take it positively means that while you are going for, while anybody is rejecting your paper, please read the rejection, why it is getting rejected. Then only you can go for the modifying the paper and the paper getting published. And please understand, after every rejection, the chances of a paper being accepted increases. It never gets decreases. Because if you are working hard, if you are in the correct path, your paper one day will be accepted. Clear? This is what I was talking about. Accept and reflect what wrong we have done, what parts needs correction, is there any grammar error that it is being reflected upon. Analyze the feedback carefully, analyze whatever he has written. Now, sometimes what happens is the editors cannot find a particular reviewer for your paper. So in that case, they'll reject the paper. So don't ever get disheartened if something like that happens, because that is the part and parcel of life. We need to revise, we need to improve it, and we need to check the proper scope while applying for a paper. Yeah. Now, before submitting any paper, if you are a PhD scholar, please give the paper to your guide and ask him to do give the most critical review about your paper. Ask him to be very harsh. Why I am saying this? You can give this to your colleagues also. Ask them to be very harsh. Why I am saying this is, you'll get certain suggestions, you'll get certain things which people might ask. And if you try to incorporate that or try to change that there, what will happen is your paper will get more importance. Or it will be very difficult for us to reject. Then choose the right journal. Check whenever after selecting the Springer Suggester, you found out a particular journal, or the Elsevier journal finder, you found out a particular journal, open it and check, search how many papers it has published on our area of interest. If there are very less number of papers, don't apply there. It might be a special case where 2-3 papers or 4-5 papers are accepted. There might be a special issue. Clear? Don't go for those kind of journals. So journal selection is very important. Then after changing all these things, now you need to, after a paper gets rejected, you change its abstract, change sometime, tweak its title, change the body, change your writing pattern. But what sometimes people do, they just change the name, little bit in the abstract, nothing else. Then they put it to another journal. So what happens is, again, it is getting rejected time and again, it will go on getting rejected. Here. So don't do this. Then next is maintain a positive attitude that if a paper is getting rejected, if someone is rejecting your paper, it does not mean he or she is your enemy. Just maybe he or she fails to understand what are the things that we have written in. Here. Stay organized, take criticisms, rejections positively. Don't fall for them that, okay, since 3, 4 journals are rejecting my papers, what I need to do, I don't know. It probably will be that the journals are of very low standard to a paper that is written by you is a very high standard. Those things do happen, so please try and understand your work. Learn from your experiences, keep writing and submitting. Rejection is very part and parcel of life. Here is one meme actually, two parts of it. One the reviewer says your paper is interesting, well written. The other one generally comes and hits you hard in the face that it is not. And trust me, if, between two reviewers, if one says it is not, that means your paper is getting rejected. Then the other meme, it says that papers rejected, experiments failed, not going to meet the deadline. We all have that deadline in our mind that by the month end we will apply for 2, 3 journals. There will be a boards. I have a board in front of me, and so it is written how many journals to submit in which days. So all these deadlines, they are never going to be met. So that's a good thing. We know it is never going to be made. We know the life is difficult. So if it is like that, what we thought only, then it was a good thing. Now, what to do if a paper gets rejected? This is one thing which we need to discuss carefully, because that rejection letter, you read that rejection letter carefully, very carefully, what it says, why the editor rejected it. Is it because of English? But sometimes being Indians, if we apply for any Iranian journal or a Middle Eastern journal, there is a good amount of time the editors reject it. Why? No, not because our paper lacks something, but because their people, their way of handling or understanding English is very different than that of us. Clear? So there is just a language barrier in that. So that tends to happen. Then analyze and reflect. If somebody is highlighting there is some problem with your method or some problem with your approach, kindly recheck it, analyze it. There might be something he can see and you cannot. Kindly read it to see whether it is there or not, or it is just an absurd statement. Then, if you find certain errors, revise the manuscript, revise your figures, improve the clarity of figures, and improve how you can draw figures, how you can reduce errors. Okay, improve those skills, and your paper might be getting accepted. Now, when your paper gets rejected 1 or 2 times, it's better to consult different colleagues or mentors or your guides. They'll give you a better perspective of your paper, whether you are the journal you are targeting and whether the writing style is different from that or not. I'm giving my perspective. There was this Elsevier journal of renewable energy focus, high focus. Yeah. So when I was first, and that journal is having an impact factor of 27 that I was talking 3, 4 years earlier. When I am submitting it for the first time, the paper got rejected. I then submitted to the same journal, clearing all its doubts and modifying it. Again, it got rejected. I consulted my guidance. Said this is happening. No, they are not doing a research on that. That is why they are doing this kind of rejection. Or don't apply. Check whether that in any recent years they have published articles related to your area. Now, when I checked that yes, they were publishing articles to my areas, but again another 1 or 2 years ahead. Recently, they are not. So that's why when I understood that okay, this is not related to me, it is just that they are not doing any publication to this areas. So that is not in my control, so I cannot vary. Then, while preparing for a resubmission, kindly check again the new journal. Everything you check, the new journal scope, whether everything is written or not, whether you have done some modifications to the manuscript, what are the journals wanting documents, what are its guidelines, what are the things that you need to say. So kindly read those things. And just maintain a positive outlook. Paper rejection or rejections as a part and parcel of life. You will understand many things. You can apply. I suggest to my scholars also apply for a bigger journal. Your first paper, you send it to the biggest journal that you come across. And keep in mind that will definitely reject the paper. Take that rejection letter, change it, change your paper according to that rejection letter, then put it to different journals, they'll definitely accept it. This is one thing that people are doing, not only you, others are also doing this. This is the great practice that we do. Keep track and learn how we have done. Don't forget what my first rejection was. What is my second rejection? Why my article rejected second time? Why my article, a different article was rejected there? Keep on improving on those changes. Don't repeat your mistakes that you have done. Continue research, keep writing. There's no problem absolutely with you if a paper is getting rejected. It is just thing, it is there. Bad luck, they lost on a good research. Then how to resubmit a paper? Again, carefully analyze the comments. Prioritize revisions. Now, sometimes journals do because they lack the physical experiments. They want some physical experiment photo, which we haven't done. So there's nothing to be disheartened about. You apply for a different journal. So prioritize what revisions needs to be done. Revise your manuscript, update content, check for consistency, check for the errors, check for data representation, check for clarity in figures also. Because sometimes the figures also lack clarity. That's why also somebody would have rejected it. So check for all those by prioritizing your references. Then always prepare a different cover letter. Don't change the name of the editor, name of the journal in the same cover letter. Always write a different cover letter, and if you are having doubts or how to write a cover letter, this is where exactly you can take the help of ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT to write a different good cover letter for a particular journal. It will write a big cover letter to use it. You can use a ChatGPT based cover letter once. Then while the paper is getting rejected and you are resubmitting, then this time you check what was the reason for rejection, whether the same criteria are here or not, whether I am sticking to its same and scope or not, whether they are publishing recent articles on my area of interest or not, what is the journal doing? Clear. Now, sometimes what journals do, they take a scope that fits you, but some way or the other, they haven't found a reviewer for that scope. So they don't publish that. So before you get to wait for a year and get rejected, so check whether the things like this are happening or not. Good. This is how your submission takes place. The process of submission, you submit a script online. When there is a confirmation after you give the PDF, generally you accept the changes, if anything are made or not. Then you confirm the receipt. After that, it goes for the editor. Then it again comes back to you, and then all other things happen in the process as well. You need to be in that loop, feedback loop. They definitely mail you out that whether your journal has done any, or the journal has gone through your details or not, whether they have found the review has begun or not. They generally mail you, or they'll update you in that submission. Some tips from my end: leverage research expertise, use your knowledge and your expertise, and use precise information. Don't utilize broader research. Maintain the clear structure. Don't confuse yourself with other things while you are writing. maintain the structure very clearly, integrate recent developments, learn what are the recent developments are in your area, whether somebody else is doing the research that you are doing in the particular area or not. That is the biggest statement. We find problems easily, but again, you will know that that area has become redundant 10 to 20 years ahead. Here, so there is no point working on those areas. So find your area of interest, see whether that your area of interest requires a mandatory hardware modeling or not. Some areas do, some areas don't. So use that also. Then use data effectively. Check the pre-analysis of data are very important. So do those things. So try and understand that the data in the plots, how to be represented, how to be explained and all. Then ensure accuracy and precision. You can always double check on your results, on your references for reliability calculations. There's no harm in it. Sometimes we might miss some signs anywhere, so that might cause some error. And focus on literature integration. You write statements, give references, and move on. So don't try and explain one or two sentences in a bigger paragraph, and whereas the others are not getting their space. Then enhance your writing style. Now this comes with each. This is not something that you will get overnight. You will learn by writing more and more paper, what to write, what not to write. There are many number of persons who will give you many advices. My personal advice to you will be choose wisely, choose things which you can do. Don't complicate matters for yourself by choosing something that you cannot. Then cite properly, seek feedback and revise. There is no wrong in seeking feedback. There is no wrong in doing things. Then about writing research papers is if you don't write for a year and a half, you'll forget the skills of writing. Then you'll do the same mistakes that you are doing 1.5 years or 2 years ago. So you'll go back to square one. So keep on writing things. Now this one I was just talking about previously, RICCE prompts. Now why these prompts are important? Because these prompts, they give you a better example of how to use ChatGPT or Gemini. Now, while writing any question, I'll show you that question with RICE format and without RICE format. RICE means research. Then these are the context, gather and provide relevant context or background information related to what you want to search. Then introduction. Purpose is clearly ask what you want. Content is give specific information what you need. Then conclusion is what you want ChatGPT to do. And evaluation means how you consider it fits to your needs or your knowledge. So let us, I know it is complicated here, but when you take the example next slide, you will understand. Now this is about the RICE format. The question I have taken is very simple question, that is discuss about Indian patent process. Discuss about the Indian patent process. So this is how in the RICE format it is written. You can directly ask to write about the RICE format like it is written, or what you can do is you can write it in RICE format. I am interested in understanding the legal and procedural aspects of obtaining a patent. I want to learn about the steps involved in the Indian patent process and the requirement that needs to be fulfilled. Content is, can you provide a detailed explanation of the Indian patent process? Specifically, how does one apply for a patent? What are the key stages in the process? What criteria must be met for a patent to be granted? Conclusion is, I need this information to better understand the procedure for securing intellectual property rights for innovations in India. Evaluations is, with your explanation, I will be able to navigate the patent application process more effectively and ensure that my information is protected under Indian law. If you take all these sentences, block together, put it in ChatGPT, you can do this in a hands-on session. I don't think I'm running on. Actually, I'm over the time here. I will try to conclude soon. Wanted to show you with the ChatGPT, but again, you can try this and I'll give you my slides and also you can try this in ChatGPT and you will see what are the differences between the two things. This is the biggest question. Try and understand our problem is not our knowledge. Our problem is our understanding and writing of English. This is one example where we use flash, where we use backwards. Backwards is your drinking water from a container, spilling it from your mouth after drinking. Clear. So flash and backwards, try and understand which word to be used where, which things are to be done where, how in English is to be incorporated. Research papers are getting rejected not because of poor technical knowledge, but because of poor writing skills with English. Then again, I think we have discussed this. These are some of my tips for the journal selection. How to select a journal, align the scope and aim. This is prime important thing. First check the scope and aim and then check whether they are doing paper on that scope and aim or not. Sometimes they don't do papers on all scopes and aims. Please be sure about choosing it. Then evaluate journal's reputation. Check its impact factor, check its index, check whether it is retracting papers or not, check how many authors are doing papers, whether some authors are frequently doing it or not. So it is verify its indexing in Scopus. Now this is one thing you need to do because some predatory journals, what they do once they find their name, they go for backdate publication and also don't do such things. This is very bad. After publication, you'll do some of your finance and again you will see that the papers are not getting accepted. Yeah. Understand peer review process. We have discussed the identify your target documents. The choose whether your research is interdisciplinary or specialized research. Now, this thing you ask it to your guide, whether to your PhD guide, you will be the best person to analyze whether you are working on an interdisciplinary subject or a specialized subject. If it is a specialized subject, don't ever go for interdisciplinary journals. They will never understand your research. It will be like put a fish and an elephant, ask both of them to eat from a tree. The fish will never be you. The fish can never eat from a tree, no matter how high it jumps. Clear? Okay. Now the next part is access the acceptance rate. Consider the publication speed, review author guidelines and fees. Now sometimes the FPCs they are written somewhere else. So explore all those things before you are going for submissions. Understand what is open access publication, what are its pros and cons. Seek feedbacks from colleagues if you don't know certain things or discuss with others. Because once you try to get into the editorial process, then you try to withdraw. There are certain editorial houses that will ban you. You cannot, you have to pay the FPC also. So don't do such things. It generally helps us. And this, I think we have discussed. If you have any doubts. If anyone is having some questions. Hello.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable information, and you have spent your a lot of time with us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, you can share my contact number with them also. If
Okay.
anybody wants, they can get in contact with me.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
I'm dropping just my contact number also in the message.
Okay, sir.
So if anybody wants, they can contact me also. I'm available. If at all I don't receive the call, please don't be worried. I'll definitely call you back.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. We are getting good feedback. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I hope everybody has a good time. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll disconnect now.
Okay. So, others can join on tomorrow classes also in the same link. Thank you for everyone on participating on time and making the section very useful. Thank you all.